On behalf of the Vidya Prasarak Mandal Thane, and on behalf of the chairman, Dr. Vijay Bedekar, Vidya Prasarak Mandal, myself, Dr. Sudhakar Agarkar, I am the head of the Academy of International Education Research in the Vidya Prasarak Mandal. So I welcome you all, Professor Kenneth, Dr. Bedekar, Uttam Joshi, and all others who have joined. We are now going to have a very rich, knowledgeable lecture by Shiva Prasad Kenneth. I would like to give you a little background of what all this is about. This is the 17th Memorial Day lecture of Dr. Vasudev N. Bedekar. He was a medical professional as such, but at the same time, he had a great interest in education and he has established a large number of institutions in the city of Thane. Starting from a Marathi medium school, we now have an English medium school, we have a management institute, we have a science college, arts college, and a polytechnic, even a law college. So you can see a big education system has been established. After his departure, his son Dr. Vijay Bedekar took the initiative to start the engineering college in a rural area of Konkan. At any time, the education system serves more than 15,000 students. You can see what a grand work this education system is doing. So, Dr. V. N. Bedekar left for his heavenly abode on 14th April 2004. From next year, we have started conducting this Memorial Day lecture. This is the 17th in that series. Unfortunately, we could not arrange the last Memorial Day lecture. One great astronomer, Professor S.M. Chitre, had agreed to deliver that lecture. But suddenly there was a lockdown and the situation was so bad. Even we were not familiar with using this remote links, etc. So we had to cancel it. But we are fortunate to have Professor Shiv Prasad, who is going to give a very good lecture on Vishwesharya. Because when I had a talk to him, he said, "You are referring to a person who is an institution builder. So let me speak on a person who has also been an institution and nation builder. That is Vishwacharya." So we decided it's a very good topic. Let me take few minutes to introduce to you Mr. Shiv Prasad Kenneth. He is presently working as the director of Nehru Science Center, which is located in Worli, Mumbai. Prior to that, he was the director of a very famous Vishwesharaya Science and Technology Museum in Bangalore. Prior to that, he was the director of Science Center in Delhi. So you can imagine he has been in the science popularization uh, area. Earlier to that, he was in a multinational. He was with the Helvet Packard, but then he felt that his communication skill is much better than handling the instrument, so he has shifted to this communication. And he is a prolific writer. I urge you to visit his blog site. He continuously goes on writing something or the other on his blog. He has been publishing articles in many journals, and I am personally on his Facebook page. I have been visiting his blog, and there is a lot of information that he puts on. So today, as I told you, he is going to speak on Vishwesharaya. And as I told you, he presently heads the Nehru Science Center, but at the same time, he has been responsible for developing regional science center at Coimbatore and other places. Very interestingly, you might be knowing there was an exhibition on 5,000 years of science and technology in India, in London, in the Science Museum of London. And he was the person who helped them in establishing that museum and that exhibition. So we have a very appropriate person for this Memorial Day lecture. So I would urge Shiv Prasad ji to start his lecture. So what we have done is, hoping that more than 100 persons would join, we have also established another link. Some of you might have joined on the other link. So I'll request Shiv Prasad ji to upload his presentation on both these links and start his lecture. So Shiv Prasad ji, now it's over to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Agarkar ji. In fact, it is indeed a great honor, to be speaking on a memorial lecture, particularly when it comes to speaking on the occasion of, paying our respects and tribute to nation builder, institution builder. And today, there's an opportunity when this happens to be the 17th memorial lecture in honor of Dr. Vasudev Bedekar ji, who unfortunately, passed away on this day. This is his Punya Tithi as well, 17th Punya Tithi as well. So on behalf of the Nehru Science Center, I would like to thank all of you, Dr. Agarkar ji, Dr. Vijay Bedekar ji, and all of us from the Vidya Prasarak Mandal for giving me this opportunity to speak to you on another institution and nation builder, plus an engineer as well. So before I start that, I'd just like to share my screen. The topic that I have chosen is again Sir Mokshagundam Vishweshwaraya, the legendary nation builder. Primarily because it also happens to be a coincidence that Vishweshwaraya also left for his heavenly abode on this very day when Dr. Vasudev Bedekar ji left for his heavenly abode about 17 years before. So in a way, both of them actually share a heavenly abode together, which they have joined on the same day. So even from that angle also, it will be befitting that I speak on Vishweshwaraya. Another coincidence is that Vishweshwaraya actually became a legendary par excellence because he started his engineering career from the state of Maharashtra, the then Bombay province, with the British government. Before I start this, I think one has to contextualize why you need nation builders or educational institution builder, particularly when a nation has passed through turbulent times. What happened to India? During the British time, when the East Indian Company came in 1600, much before that also, there were lots of invaders. They were primarily invading India because of the richness of the country. Everybody is aware that people used to call India as Sone ki Chidiya. All of us know about this. Just because India was considered as the Sone ki Chidiya, people actually invaded India and then, started looting the country. And so is the case with the British, who came as a trading company in the form of East India Company sometime in 1600.
Shiva Prasad ji, I would like to interrupt you. On the second link, in the second link, you are muted. You have to unmute it.
Oh my God! I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
I'm sorry.
Fine. Now you can speak at both. Go ahead. Thank you. Sorry for the interruption.
I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Okay, I'll again go back from the beginning because I think I was muted. So I will just roughly what the 14th April happens to be the same day when both Vishweshwaraya and Dr. Vasudev Bedekar, in whose honor, in whose memory we are organizing this lecture, both of them actually joined the heavenly abode on this very day. Dr. Vasudev Bedekar ji joined on 14th April 2004, while Vishweshwaraya died in 1962. Before we the nation, when we attained independence, we passed through a turbulent times. So it was necessary for the nation builders that we had to ensure that education per se is the route for basically, the country becoming from, passing through those turbulent times. If you have to become a self-sufficient country or go on to become a developed country, emphasis should be laid on education. So during the time of from time immemorial, from 12th century onward, there were lots of rulers who came to India, started invading India. And similarly, East India Company also came to India as a trading one and stayed here for very, very long time, right until the 1947. But why did they come to India? They came to India because India was a very, very rich country. In fact, Dr. Sudhakarji, when he was introducing, he talked about an exhibition called Illuminating India, 5,000 Years of Science, Technology and Innovation. It was primarily because of the India's rich legacy, rich heritage in science and technology, that we are a very, very rich nation. That's why people came here in the form of trading and then stayed back here. But then when we attained independence in 1947, after passing through very bad times, a stage came when, only about 5% or 4% of us were actually literate. The rest of the people were all illiterate. In fact, some of us in the older generation remember that when we attained independence, we had to, if there was any stress on agriculture, what happened is we were not even able to feed our people. Such was the status in which we were left by the British. And I'm sure some of you still remember that PL 480 case, where shiploads of agriculture produce wheat is to come from US. It is only when this wheat comes and lands in India that we were able to feed our population. Such was the case through which we passed. But then what happened is the founding fathers of the nation, including people like Dr. Vasudev Bedekar, who himself was a professional doctor, but realized that he has an obligation towards the society as well. They started building institutions, educational institutions. Dr. Bedekar, like I think Sudhakarji briefly mentioned, all of you from the Vidya Prasarak Mandal are aware that he has built an institution. Vidya Prasarak Mandal is now, I understand, serving close to about 15 to 20,000 students. It is the contributions of people like that who helped us to pass through turbulent times post the independence. And one of the greatest engineer come nation builder was Vishweshwaraya. This was the exhibition which Sudhakar Agarkar Sarji was mentioning. Imagine Britishers who actually kept talking that they have come to India, they have come to rule us, to civilize us. After 70 years of independence, in 2017, they realized there has to be, they actually recognized the richness of India, openly admitted and decided to organize an exhibition called as Illuminating India, 5,000 Years of Science, Technology and Innovation. Incidentally, any one of you can just Google, you will find the information and coverage about the rich legacy and heritage of India in terms of science and technology, which has been covered in all the leading scientific journals, be it Nature, Science, Scientific American, New Scientist. Every single journal in science communication have covered this exhibition and have told to the world that what all of us in India believe. It's just not the numbers or a zero that came from India. There are several other innovations, science and technological innovation that happened in India. So this exhibition, through artifacts and objects, this was presented in London. And during the culmination of this exhibition, the Honorable Prime Minister visited this. Now let me come to why I chose this. Incidentally, the year 2011, when I got transferred from National Science Center, Delhi, to Bangalore as the director of the Vishweshwaraya Museum, that also happened to be the 50th year, when 150th year of his birthday, and also the kind of a 50th year for his death anniversary. But it so happened that there was not any single exhibition on the life and works of Sir Vishweshwaraya, in whose honor the museum has been established. So what we thought is, let me try and create an exhibition. So we researched extensively, got hold of the extraordinary archival materials from various sources, and inaugurated this exhibition in the year 2011 in Bangalore in Vishweshwaraya Museum. But then it so happened that I got transferred from Bangalore Vishweshwaraya Museum to Nehru Science Center. When I came here in 2013, I had a chance meeting with Mr. Jindal, Sajan Jindal, and he somehow came to know that an exhibition on Vishweshwaraya was organized in Bangalore. Since he had passed from one of the engineering colleges in Bangalore, he said, "Can you do that exhibition here?" So we did that exhibition at the Nehru Science Center in the year 2014. That exhibition was inaugurated by Dr. Kakodkar sir in the presence of Jindals, who actually they promoted or sponsored this exhibition. This is a glimpse of the exhibition which was organized at the Nehru Science Center. I'm not showing the photographs of the exhibition that was held in Bangalore. Then, because we had a lot of funding from the Jindals, Jindals also funded it because Vishweshwaraya was not only an engineer, you can call as one of the founding fathers who actually started the iron and steel factory. Of course, you have the Jamshedji Tata who started it in Jamshedpur, but in Karnataka also, Vishweshwaraya also started the iron and steel factory much before the independence. India Science Congress was organized in Mumbai. Everyone knows in the Mumbai University. Fortunately, this exhibition, Dr. Kakodkar told that let this exhibition be featured in the India Science Congress. So we were honored to feature the life and works of Sir M. Vishweshwaraya at the India Science Congress, which was visited by a very large number of people, including dignitaries like the SNT Minister Harshvardhan, Mashelkar sir, and others. And fortunately, this exhibition also got an award for the wonderful research that we had done. During the closing of this exhibition, we brought out a very richly illustrated booklet, exhibition catalog, which was released by Mashelkar, Dr. Mashelkar sir. So my talk today is primarily based on the visual archive that we have collected during the course of our research in curating and presenting this exhibition. Let's go back in history. All of us, I think some of us at least know that Vishweshwaraya was born. There are two dates actually. Some people say that Vishweshwaraya was born on the 15th of September 1860, but the passport of Vishweshwaraya, which actually is the official date of birth, mentions that Vishweshwaraya was born on 15th September 1861 in a small village called as Muddenhalli. What you can see here in the backside where young Vishweshwaraya is sitting, that is the house where actually Vishweshwaraya was born. Vishweshwaraya's father was a priest in a temple. Very surprising that his father was a priest in a temple, but then Vishweshwaraya did not have much of a belief in God. He felt that work is worship. So his God, his worship was nothing but education and his own work. So his father also died early, and then he had left the family. So he was basically taken care by his mother, Venkata Lakshamma, and his maternal uncle, one Mr. H. Ramaya. So the photographs of these two, his maternal uncle and his mother, are seen here. Yes. Subsequently, Vishweshwaraya studied, of course, in Muddenhalli, and then again he came to you always study in the middle school or a primary school in your villages, then you migrate to the city. He also migrated to the city courtesy his maternal uncle, and then studied in the Wesleyan Mission High School in Bangalore. Subsequently, he also studied in the Central College in Bangalore. When he was studying in this Wesleyan Mission High School, you will see a dictionary there. In fact, we had displayed this original dictionary in Bangalore when we did this exhibition. Charles Walter, who was the principal of the school, was so highly impressed with the performance of Vishweshwaraya that actually he gifted this dictionary to him. Until today, you find this dictionary displayed in the Muddenhalli house where he was born. In fact, the house where he was born has now been converted into a small makeshift kind of a museum. I would request and urge some of you who are traveling to Bangalore, of course, post the COVID pandemic when things are normal, please do spare some time to go and visit this museum, which is very, very close to the new airport, which is the Bangalore airport, Bangalore International Airport. After passing the Central College in Bangalore, Vishweshwaraya fortunately got some kind of a scholarship from the Mysore Maharaja for studying engineering during those days. I am talking about 1881. There was no engineering college nor a university in Mysore during those days. The only educational institutions were perhaps, or the university was either there in Calcutta or in Mumbai or in Madras. So Vishweshwaraya had no option but to come to Pune. You had the Pune College of Science there, Science College in Pune. In that again, you had the Pune Engineering College. Even today, the Pune Engineering College exists there. So Vishweshwaraya completed his engineering, which was then called as the licentiate of civil engineering, in the year 1884. During those days, anyone who stood first in the college automatically got a job with the government. So the Bombay province had a similar system of arrangement with the Pune College of Engineering, and since Vishweshwaraya stood first in his engineering, as against the 3 years which is normally required for completion of the engineering course, Vishweshwaraya managed to complete this in just about 2.5 years, and he earned the James Berkeley Prize, which ensured that Vishweshwaraya was directly appointed as an assistant engineer with the Bombay province. When he was appointed as the assistant engineer by the Britishers in the Bombay province, his first appointment was at Nashik in Maharashtra. You'll find that first 23 years of, almost 22, 23 years of his service, he spent in Maharashtra. He was initially appointed and at Nashik. You can see a small house there, very small one. That was the office of Vishweshwaraya. He assumed this office in the year 1884 as an assistant engineer. But he stayed there only for about 7 days, and then he was subsequently transferred to a place called as Dhulia. All of you must be knowing there. Even today, the remnants of Dhulia waterworks, which was done by Vishweshwaraya, are still there. So there was a challenge which was given to Vishweshwaraya. Unfortunately, it also so happened that it was a rainy season. During the rainy season, Vishweshwaraya was assigned the task of actually laying a pipeline underneath the Pinjra river for supplying water to the city of Dhulia. Whenever he tried his best to dig the surface of the river, and then when he was trying to put this pipe, and then so that he brings out and through the duct he creates a water pipeline. Unfortunately, the rainfall is to distract him. So what he wrote a very he was advised by the local authorities that you write a letter to your executive engineer asking that let this work be postponed till the end of the monsoon. So Vishweshwaraya innocently wrote a letter to his executive engineer, asking that he wants to postpone this work. But then, he got the kind of a memo, the first memo. In the very year that he joined with the British, he got a memo where he said that his engineer wrote, he sent him a caution memo and wrote, the assistant engineer is beginning his career badly as regards energy and obedience to orders. This was the condition in which he started his career. But then he was a very, very honest, hard-working engineer. So he took it up seriously, completed that work during the rainy season. There are extremely interesting anecdotes of how he completed this work. He used to travel on a horseback. At one point of time, when he was not able to come back to his guest room, he stayed back there. He crossed the river on the horseback. He used to swim. All these things are very interesting things are there, which are associated with Vishweshwaraya. But then the engineer who had actually served him a memo for being tardy in his energy and obedience actually appreciated him so much. And normally during those times, after serving about 3 years or 3 to 4 years, they were eligible for appearing for the grade 2 engineer. For appearing for the grade 2 engineer, one of the conditions was you have to be very good in your engineering subject, and also had to pass the local language, which is Marathi. So the same engineer who had actually served him a memo requested Vishweshwaraya that you are very efficient. Why don't you appear for the grade 2 engineers examination? Then Vishweshwaraya told, sir, normally it takes about 4 years, but I have just put in less than 2 years. How can I apply? He said, don't worry, I am telling you. So Vishweshwaraya actually appeared for the exam. He not only passed his engineering test, which was exceptionally good at, he also passed the Marathi exam. And immediately from assistant engineer, he became grade 2 engineer. And then another 2 years from now, just about 4 years or so, he was further promoted to become a grade 1 engineer. You'll be interested to know that when he became a grade 1 engineer in the year about 1888 or so, I think somebody is speaking in the background, maybe if he can mute. Okay, his salary was rupees 500. I am highlighting the rupees 500 primarily because some of you must be knowing, many of you, because who are scientists in this group also, when C.V. Raman started as an assistant accountant general, when he was first posted in Calcutta, his salary in the year 1907 was just about 300 rupees. So Vishweshwaraya in the year 1888, he earned a very massive salary of rupees 500. Such has been his reputation from the very beginning of his career. Then from Dhulia, after completing his works, he did lots of other, mostly irrigation kind of a work, and then transferred to Pune. Pune was his base actually. He worked from Pune for a very, very long time. In 1893, another engineer, Western engineer, the British engineer, gave him a very challenging task and asked Vishweshwaraya whether he would like to take a challenge of building a waterworks in a place called Sukkur, which was in the then Pakistan, undivided India in Pakistan. The challenge there was, the Sindh River, where the waterworks was to be established, and then water supply made to not only the Sukkur place, but also to the massive military cantonment which was there. The water of Sindh River was very, very muddy. So if you have to build a waterworks, and primarily you need to have a water filtering process, that would have costed very high. Vishweshwaraya was always believed in planning. He was extremely good at planning, and all along, he used to collect statistics of the place. Building on the data and numbers, he was able to harvest the data and come to the proper engineering solution. So here too, he realized that the money available was quite small. The time was also quite small. Instead of building a water filtering plant, which would have been very, very expensive, he said, can I use the natural watering filtering of the embankment of the river itself? That is how he introduced for the first time a concept, what is known as a collector's well. In fact, this is his invention. Vishweshwaraya never ever actually patented any of his inventions. The fact of the matter is, the collector's well is his invention. Even today, I'm sure some of you will have heard about the concept of collector's well. So his work in Sukkur was very, very famous. Even today, it is heralded as one of the best one. Lord Sandhurst actually hailed his working style and his design in writing. Like I told you, Vishweshwaraya spent his entire time from 1884 to 1907 in the state of Maharashtra, primarily in Pune. During his stay in Pune, he was closely associated with Ranadeji, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, and quite a lot of people there. Whenever you go to Pune, you can go and see the Khadakwasla. There is a water reservoir there against at the Lake Fife. Vishweshwaraya, for the first time ever, he introduced a concept of automatic sluice gates. Until then, most of the water is to get wasted. It will cross the barrier and start flowing out. So he came out with an innovative design, which he called as a sluice gate, and built about 84 such gates at Pune, which was greatly appreciated by a lot of Westerners, including one Mr. Lamington. You can Lord Lamington and Lady Lamington. You can see the newspaper clipping which I have collected from that, where they have personally gone from Bombay to Lake Fife to see the automatic gates which Vishweshwaraya built. It was during his stay in Pune that he did a lot of other works, water works in most of the places surrounding Pune. He also he was promoted from there to become a sanitary engineer, which is equivalent to kind of a chief engineer. He did water works for Belgaum, Dharwad, Bijapur, Kolhapur, Sangli, Amravati, and many places. He also introduced one very new and innovative discovery, or maybe another invention, what was called as a block system of irrigation. He observed that in Pune, a lot of this water was getting wasted, and primarily because some people who were using this water were literally wasting this. So he came out with a new concept called as the block system of irrigation. Initially, the farmers, the rich landlords, they were all very unhappy with him. But then he was a man who used to always do excellent groundwork. He did an excellent groundwork. He connected with Bal Gangadhar Tilak, who used to run a newspaper known as Kesari. Through Bal Gangadhar's influence, he called all these rich people who were controlling the land, the agriculture there. He called them to the Ferguson College, had a meeting with them, and told them that how, if each one of them adopts a system known as block system of irrigation, it's going to be immensely beneficial to every one of them. There were a lot of strikes, hartal, etc. because of this, because the Britishers were trying to ration the water. Once every one of them agreed to the block system of irrigation, rest is history. There was no agitation, there was no shortage of water. Everyone actually liked the concept of block system of irrigation, which later, in fact, Vishweshwaraya has used it in several other places. The automatic sluice gate, he actually earned a patent for designing this. This is the patent which Vishweshwaraya got for the designing the sluice gate in the year 1905. People generally believe that it was the Krishnaraja Sagara in Mysore that was the first place where automatic sluice gates are introduced. That is wrong. Actually, the automatic sluice gates were introduced in Maharashtra and in Pune. From there, Vishweshwaraya took this design to Karnataka to build Krishnaraja Sagara. Then he became the chief engineer. Then what happened is in 1907, Vishweshwaraya came back from Pune and he was posted in Bombay. But it was during those times, no Indian engineer could ever become a chief engineer. Maximum stage to which one could go is to become a superior engineer and maximum sanitary engineer. Vishweshwaraya realized this and that he cannot become a chief engineer. He submitted his voluntary retirement to the Britishers and then went on a foreign trip in 1907. During those times, they were given about 8 to 9 months paid holiday before retirement. 6 months you can go on paid this thing. So he undertook a foreign tour and went and toured Europe, Japan, US, and other places. So the foreign trips for Vishweshwaraya have always been a great learning lesson, which he has contributed back. The learning that he has learned from the foreign trips, he has given back to the country. These are the foreign. In fact, during his entire career, he went 6 times. The last trip that he undertook was under the banner of All India Manufacturers Organization in the year 1946. That means he was about 86 years of age when he undertook the last foreign trip to US and other places. In fact, that from each of these trips, he has contributed back, which I will be covering in the slides ahead. When he was touring in 1907, he had not yet retired from service from Bombay. He received a emergency cable from Salar Jung from Hyderabad. I think some of you must be remembering in 2018, there was a heavy flood in Hyderabad and lots of damage was done. Similarly, a much more massive and more destructive flood was caused in Hyderabad in the year 1918. So when Vishweshwaraya was touring, he received a telegram from the Nizam that he should come to Hyderabad to help them to find a solution to this massive destruction that had taken place in Hyderabad. You can see these photographs, historic archival photographs which come from 1908 flood. It killed almost about 15,000 people were killed, and almost everyone, almost 3/4 of the city of Hyderabad was completely destroyed, and 80,000 people had become homeless. And in 1908, the loss of economic value was estimated to be about 3 crores. So Vishweshwaraya came back from there. During the same period, Vishweshwaraya also received a letter from Mysore, his state, asked the then Diwan of Mysore actually offered him a chief engineer's post. But the letter of the Nizam came to him first. The letter of the Diwan of Mysore came later. So he accepted the offer of Nizam and went to Hyderabad. He went and surveyed Hyderabad. Actually, in the initial first 4 months, what he did is he engaged several, I think 5 engineers, some 2 Britishers and 3 of the local engineers, to extensively travel and do the surveying and collect data. In fact, both the Nizam and other engineers in Hyderabad, the province, they were all very unhappy, and they were thinking, instead of providing the solutions, man is taking time doing some surveys, etc. But that was the speciality of Vishweshwaraya. He always used to design based on the data available. He used to make an extensive study. After doing all this extensive study, he came to the conclusion that he has to build 2 reservoirs, one across the river Musi and the other one across its tributary EC. So he suggested this design, and now even today when you go there, you see 2 reservoirs, the Osman Sagar, which is today even present in Hyderabad. It is actually providing drinking water, and also has created that ambience, beautiful ambience surrounding this city of Hyderabad, Secunderabad. The Nizam was so overwhelmingly happy with the outcome of this. It not only saved the city from destruction to floods, etc., but Vishweshwaraya also was given the task of building sanitary plan for the city. So he took up that work as well. Even today, if you go and see the Hyderabad drainage and sanitary designs are basically the works which have been suggested and designed by Vishweshwaraya. After that, he came back to his motherland, in the place where he was born. He came to Mysore because the Mysore Diwan had offered him the chief engineer post. But he put a condition. The condition was that his work should not be confined only to engineering works. Rather, he should be involved in planning, because he was more interested in planning and contributing back to the Indian society. These conditions were accepted, and Vishweshwaraya became the chief engineer of Mysore in the year 1909. These are some of the correspondence exchange that Vishweshwaraya had with Diwan. They make a very interesting reading. For accepting the post of chief engineer, he put certain conditions that only if you give under these conditions, I'll be able to work. And hats off to those people, the Mysore Maharaj and the Diwan. They accepted these conditions. One of the massive projects that he aimed during that time was the Krishna Raja Sagara. At that point of time, it is one of the world's largest water reservoir, and the cost of this was massive, and nobody was interested in actually funding this. Vishweshwaraya received a lot of criticism that for planning a project, such a gigantic project. But then the Maharaja had great trust in him, and he supported him. Rest is history. You can see the Krishna Raja Sagar, and then he also created a beautiful canal, which is now known as Vishweshwaraya Canal, which is uniquely, which has a great engineering acumen and design associated with this. These are some of the historical photographs of the construction of the massive Krishna Raja Sagara Dam. Then subsequently, in the year 2012, Vishweshwaraya was offered the Diwan of Mysore. Diwan, was equivalent to kind of a prime minister for each of the provinces that were functioning under the colonial empire. And Vishweshwaraya the Mysore has got an edge in terms of education, particularly Bangalore, the Mysore, Bangalore, Karnataka area, primarily because of Vishweshwaraya. What Vishweshwaraya was a great advocate of education, just like Dr. Vasudev Bedekar ji. Vishweshwaraya also laid emphasis on primary education. He made compulsory primary education. The number of schools that he built when he was the Diwan for about 6 years is unprecedented. There was exponential growth in terms of the number of the primary school and middle school that he built. I think that the students who passed out from there were in multiples. Exponential rise was there. And during his time, when women education was considered as a taboo, Vishweshwaraya made compulsory education for girl students. These are some of the visionary works that he undertook when he was the Diwan. But Vishweshwaraya is also known as a great advocate of industry. He coined a beautiful term known as industrialize and flourish. Vishweshwaraya and Gandhiji had diametrically opposite views, and Gandhiji wrote a letter to him telling that industrialize and perish. So they used to have a beautiful argument with each other. And Gandhi wrote a letter telling that you are 360 degree, 180 degree apart when it comes to agreeing with me. But yet they had respect for each other. When he was the Diwan, Vishweshwaraya realized that it is only when you establish industry, when you establish educational institution, that the state will grow. So that is how he first established Mysore Iron and Steel Works in Bhadravati. Here again, he had an experience because by that time, Jamshedji Tata had managed to make a connection with one of the greatest of chemists and an expert at building, finding out places where iron and steel works could be built. That was the name of one Mr. Perrin. Perrin was also very, very close to Vishweshwaraya during one of the foreign trips. Vishweshwaraya also had managed to meet Dr. Perrin. With the help of Perrin, Vishweshwaraya built Mysore Iron and Steel Works. And during the 20s, when this iron and steel factory was built, it was passing through a bad period because that was the recession. Just the World War I had ended. The whole global economy was in a great recession. The way we are passing through the pandemic time, the world was passing through the recession. So he came out with a new method of building a cast iron at Bhadravati using the coal, and that was extensively exported to US. I will talk about that, in the other slides. He also built a sugar factory. He built several other factories centering around that, and electricity for these factories came from the Krishnaraja Sagara, which he had built. So basically, Krishnaraja Sagara not only served as a water, supplying water to the farmers and also to the city, but also it served for producing enough electricity that could run all these factories, including the Kolar Goldfield, which depended on the Krishnaraja Sagara electricity for a very long time. That was the time when you had the Indian Institute of Science developed by the Tatas in Bangalore. It was then known as the Tata Institute. Vishweshwaraya was associated with the Tata Institute for almost 4 decades, and he was on their governing council. So he used the concept of from lab to factory. So the chemistry department of Indian Institute of Science was used to do some kind of a research, and that research outcome was transferred to the industry. That is how the Mysore Sandalwood factory was established. Even today, the Mysore Sandalwood factory continues to function, and those Mysore Sandalwood soaps, which are there in the market for almost 100 years now, they owe their genesis to Vishweshwaraya. So these are some of the, he also realized that there is no university in Mysore. There is no railways in Mysore. The railways were there only wherever the colonial rulers were ruling. For example, Mumbai was very well known for massive rail network, which the Britishers did primarily because of the cotton, and also because we had a beautiful harbour here. So Vishweshwaraya convinced the Madras Britishers, and then he managed to build a railway network in bringing it to Karnataka. He also built a massive port in Bhatkal, in again Mysore province. All this railway network and the port have immensely benefited the state of Mysore, now state of Karnataka. The State Bank of India, which is the premier bank of the country, the mother of State Bank of India was a bank known as Bank of Mysore. Bank of Mysore is basically an outcome of some economic conferences. Vishweshwaraya, besides being an engineer, he was a great economist. He believed in economy. So he used to organize economic conferences when he was the Diwan. He used to bring the best of experts in economics, call them. I used to put them together to brainstorm. During one of those brainstorming sessions, it so happened that they thought that we should build a bank which will serve the purpose of funding the people who are in need for setting up of industries, establishments, educational institutions. That is how the first bank in Mysore came up, and subsequently the Bank of Mysore became the State Bank of Mysore, a State Bank of India, and State Bank of India is now the leading banks in the country, and that should owe its genesis to Vishweshwaraya. He also built, like I told you, the Mysore University. In fact, the leading scholars from across the country came to Mysore University for studying. He also built several other educational institutions. You can see the Mysore University campus. Even while building the Mysore University, there was a lot of to and fro exchanges that happened between the Britishers in Chennai and Vishweshwaraya. Finally, he somehow convinced them and managed to get a university. He also built the Maharani College. This is the first college for women. I'm talking about in the early 20th century. He built a special college only for women. And of course, the Vishweshwaraya College of Engineering, it was that time not known as Vishweshwaraya College of Engineering, but that again owes its genesis to Vishweshwaraya. He was also very much interested in literature. He was very much interested in building some clubs where intellectual discourse should happen. So that is how he built Public Library, Kannada Sahitya Parishad. Incidentally, the Deccan College, which is there in Pune, it is his brainchild. The Deccan College was famously known where all the leading scholars of Pune, they used to come there, do the brainstorming. In that brainstorming, some of it were also for preparing to go against the rulers. The freedom fight, freedom struggle also, some intellectual inputs used to come during those brainstorms. Of course, he also built an agriculture college in Bangalore. Subsequently, what happened is when he served there for about 5.5 years, Vishweshwaraya almost always had some or the other problem. During the fag end of his diwanship, there was a movement of reservation that was happening in Madras. In Madras province, there were a group of people who were great advocates for reservation, and they succeeded there. That reservation movement struck Mysore, and Vishweshwaraya had a lot of opposition from people there. It was covered in the paper. Mysore Maharaja was very much upset that so many strikes are going on against Vishweshwaraya. Vishweshwaraya said, no, I cannot introduce reservation in education. He said that I am ready to build any number of institutions, which he built. He built a lot of schools and colleges, particularly for backward people. He said, I don't agree to reserving jobs for some kind of a category. So finally, he had to resign from his job in 1918 because he did not agree to the principles of reservation. So he left the Diwanship in 2018. From there, he went again on a foreign trip. Like I told you, when he established the Ireland Steel Factory, it was doing some good business. Subsequently, it went into loss because of the global recession. When it went into loss, Mysore Maharaja requested Vishweshwaraya somewhere in the 1922-23 that why don't you go and set it right. So Vishweshwaraya immediately plunged into the job. He studied the whole situation. He introduced new products and ensured that the Mysore Ireland Steel Factory became profitable. The Mysore Maharaja gave him what is known as the consultation fees because he worked there for about 1.5 years. Vishweshwaraya was not ready to take that, but then finally he accepted that and said he reinvested that money back into the society by establishing what is known as the vocational training course, which he built in the year 1940-41, and that institution is known as Jaichama Rajendra Polytechnic Institution. You will be surprised to know that in the later part of the 1930s and early 40s, he built some unique cinematography. He prepared people for cinematography, automobile engineering, ceramics, sound engineering, boilers, very different kinds of skill skill set he thought the Polytechnic should be able to generate, and then he managed. He was very successful. Even today, Jaichamarajendra Polytechnic College continues to be famous and doing a lot of great social service. Vishweshwaraya was there in almost most of the committees across the country, from Bombay to all over. In fact, one of the committee that he headed ultimately led to the development of the Hirakud Dam in Orissa. In fact, it was Mahatma Gandhi who suggested to Nehru that Vishweshwaraya should be appointed to build this dam, and he was a consultant and that ultimately helped in building this dam. He was also given some international assignment when he was an engineer in the Bombay province, the one in Eden, which is there now in Yemen. He built a beautiful project in Yemen, which continues to be very well recognized even today. Like I told you, Hirakud Dam was courtesy Mahatma Gandhi, who suggested his name, and Vishweshwaraya, the Nehru wrote to Chief Minister of Orissa, and then ultimately they decided to build this massive dam. When talking about this dam, this is the first time that Nehru told that these are the dams, massive dams, which should be which are the brainchild of Vishweshwaraya. They should be considered as modern temples. The word temples of modern India comes from this first dam, Hirakud Dam, where Vishweshwaraya, during the inauguration of this dam, Nehru used the term temples of modern India. Vishweshwaraya also was responsible for the development of Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. It was courtesy Seth Walchand Hirachand, who came all the way from Pune to establish this Hindustan Aircraft Limited. Of course, this was as an outcome of his some of the trips that he made to US. He learned about the aircraft, and he realized that once you set up an aircraft factory or an automobile factory, it can generate a lot of jobs. That is how he developed this. So I will rush through. I think I don't have much time. Agarkar sir, how much time I have? Hello?
5 minutes more.
Okay, I'll just rush through this thing.
Yeah.
So, actually, he wanted to establish an automobile factory in Bangalore or Mysore. He was not successful, but then he managed to convince Walchand Hirachand, and the first automobile factory in India came up in Pune, primarily because of Vishweshwaraya and Hirachand believing in his thoughts. The Premier Automobile Limited that you see, which was very famous initially until the Maruti came in, that owes its genesis to Vishweshwaraya. This is some of the historical photographs. And like I told you, he was involved in most of the committees, and he was also responsible in establishing an organization known as All India Manufacturers Organization. It was the All India Manufacturers Organization which recommended the building of the World Trade Center in Mumbai. If you go and see the World Trade Center, actually that is the brainchild of Vishweshwaraya. That's why the World Trade Center is actually known as M. Vishweshwaraya Industrial Research and Development Center. I'll just finish with one or two more anecdotal points. Talking about All India Institute of Manufacturers Organization, Pandit Nehru came to inaugurate this twice, the annual conferences that AAMO is to organize. In one of the conferences in 1947, there's an interesting argument that happens between, because Vishweshwaraya and Nehru had lots of argument with each other. The Planning Commission, which is there, Indian Planning Commission, that is primarily because of Vishweshwaraya. Vishweshwaraya wrote a book known as Planned Economy of India. The outcome of this Planned Economy of India is the Planning Commission. The year 1938, when Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose was the president of Congress, he had constituted a National Planning Committee. Subhash Chandra Bose actually wanted to make Vishweshwaraya the chairman of that committee. But then Meghnad Saha, the great scientist, went to Subhash Chandra Bose and told him that no, please don't make Vishweshwaraya the chairman. You make Pandit Nehru the chairman of that. That is how the Planning Commission and the planned economy, the credit is going to Pandit Nehru, because he was the chairman of the committee and Vishweshwaraya was a member. In fact, even during this committee discussions, Vishweshwaraya used to have a lot of opposition to Nehru. And at one point of time, he resigned from this committee, telling that you are doing very tardy progress and there is hardly any progress in this. This is not the way how the Indian economy should work. Similarly, I told you about one. I will end with one anecdote. Nehru was highly critical of Vishweshwaraya, because Vishweshwaraya used to be very critical of Nehru as well. So in one of the lectures in the All India Manufacturers Organization, Nehru and Vishweshwaraya were having uh, literal argument against each other, and each of them, I mean, in fact, Nehru went red-faced. There is a saying, one of the biographers says that due to Vishweshwaraya's criticism, Nehru was a prime minister, you should know that, he became red. Then he started with equal force trying to tell what Vishweshwaraya is telling is wrong. Vishweshwaraya stopped him in between, and then he referred to him, instead of calling him a prime minister, he referred to him by his father, Motilal Nehru. Nehru was perturbed. Why is he calling me Motilal Nehru? He said, no, Vishweshwaraya, you are wrong. I am not Motilal Nehru, I am his son. Then Nehru, Vishweshwaraya interrupted, and I interrupted him and told him, I know your father was more close to me than you are. That's why Motilal Nehru's name comes to me automatically, and you are incidental. That's how he used to treat him. But in spite of that, both of them enjoyed respect for each other. And I will simply straight go to, and of course, Nehru was awarded the Bharat Ratna in 1955, which he shared with Vishweshwaraya shared this Bharat Ratna with two other people, Bhagwan Das and Nehru. In 1962, in 1960, 100 years commemoration was organized for in memory of Vishweshwaraya at the Lal Bagh. Pandit Nehru flew down all the way from Delhi to celebrate, to participate in this. You should also know that Nehru actually had lost his son-in-law just 7 days before this incident happened. Because this 100th centenary happened in 15th September. In spite of that, because of his respect for Vishweshwaraya, he flew down all the way to Bangalore and he participated in this. It was here in this Lal Bagh that he announced establishment of a museum in honor of Vishweshwaraya. That is how the Vishweshwaraya Museum has come up. Actually, Nehru came to inaugurate the first phase of the museum, which was inaugurated in July 1962, just about a few months after 3 months after Vishweshwaraya died. Since time is very short, I will not go into this. Of course, Vishweshwaraya got lots and lots of respect from all across the country when he died. And even when he died, his will was very, very simple. I will like to read this will and end it. He said, he wrote in his will, should my death occur in Bangalore city, it is my request to those around me at that time that my body should be quietly taken away in a motor car to my village, within bracket Muddenhalli, near Nandi Hill, and cremated there. The ceremony may be plain, humble, and simple. Such was his simplicity. He used to be impeccably dressed, but then completely rooted to the cause and growth of India. That is the reason why he's called as the nation builder. Although his will was such that a simple ceremony should be done, but the whole of city joined in respecting Vishweshwaraya during his Antim Yatra that happened on the 14th April 1962. Thank you so very much for giving me an opportunity to share my thoughts on Vishweshwaraya. That too on an occasion which happens to be the 17th memorial lecture in memory of Dr. Vasudev Vedekarji, who himself is a great, the institution builder, and which is right now catering to, I think, about 15 to 20,000 people in Thane and surrounding places. So it's indeed a great honor to be speaking about another national, the institution and nation builder. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kenneth sir, for such a great and informative lecture. I can see that because you were involved in preparing an exhibition on the life and work of Vishweshwaraya, you have not only information but also the photographs.
Yes.
I was always curious. I did my masters in Nagpur, where there is Vishweshwaraya College of Engineering, and I had a curiosity about him, but did not know much. Then once I visited Krishnaraj Sagar Dam, I was amazed by the construction. But today I learned a lot. He was not only a dam builder, but institution builder and a planner. And thank you very much for giving us such a information. which many of us did not know. It would have been better if larger number of students had heard this, but somehow the pandemic doesn't allow us. I'm sure at some stage you should spare some time to come to the campus of Vidya Prasarak Mandal and give us all the information. I'm sure there would be some questions in the mind of some of the listeners, but I think it's more than
I'll
an
be happy to
hour.
take questions.
If there is any burning question, immediately people can unmute and ask him immediately. Otherwise, we'll proceed. ठीक है. So we'll now proceed. I request Principal Nayak, the principal of our polytechnic, to give vote of thanks. Is Dr. Nayak here?
Yes, very
No?
much.
Yeah,
Very
yeah,
much.
yeah.
First of all, good afternoon to everyone. It is my pleasure to propose vote of thanks. In fact, I requested Dr. Agar in between the session to give me this opportunity. So first of all, I thank Professor Agarkar for getting Dr. Shiv Prasad ji for today's session. And I requested for this opportunity because I am associated with Mysore. The college that you mentioned, I am alumni of that college, J.H. College of Engineering, Mysore. I spent best 4 years of my life at Mysore. So I am very much fascinated with the kind of life which one of our greatest engineer of our country ever lived. So I thought I should thank Shiv Prasad from my side. I was born in the year in which he passed away, 1962. That's another coincidence. I'm with VPM for 36 years with Dr. Bedekar's empire here. So I thought with all these, I am eligible to propose vote of thanks. I think within this 1 hour, we have shown us the century of a person's life, how a person can live and contribute to the nation building. And in true sense, in 1980s, when we were visiting KRS Dam for repeated times, Maharaja's Maharani's College or Vishwesvaraya Museum, these are all marvels which is impossible for one single person to achieve, that too when there is no technology. But that's a reality. In addition to this, there is one more thing which I think because of time limit you could not mention. The hydroelectric plant which he built on the river Sharavati, it was another marvel of the state where hydroelectric plant was installed more than 70 years back. When all of us used to visit that waterfall and wonder at the nature's beauty, he said, "What a lots of energy!" and he built a hydroelectric dam there. And like this, he had a lot of things for the country. Today, the country has been enriched. It is because of engineers like Sir M.V. We popularly, I mean, we were very close to his life because we have seen, I spent about more than 4 years at Mysore and everything was visible there. And people of Mysore, in fact, they have not seen God, but they have seen Vishwesvaraya and his legacy. So thank you, Professor Shiv Prasad. You are living his life through exhibitions. And I think we would like to have more sessions, as Professor Agarkar said, for the students as well. What more can be an inspiration for the students than this? So thank you so much. It was a great tribute to our former president, a very simple, ground-to-earth person. He has built careers of so many children of Thane from KG to PhD. And we are paying a rich tribute to him through you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Bedekar, sir, and all the members who are present in today's
Thank you, Dr.
online.
Naik.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. It was great listening to you.